So welcome to our session. I am so glad you're here today. Let's see if I can share my screen. Oh, can I share my screen, Jen?
Oh, I hope so.
I am a middle school Spanish teacher in Woodhaven, Michigan, and I have an awesome session for you today. All right, here we go. Gosh, I haven't had to present in a while. Here we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. All right, so welcome. This session was originally a 3-hour workshop that I had to reconfigure to make into a webinar because we're all at home now. So this was called Game On. It was for the Michigan World Language Conference last fall. And so I, again, am a Spanish teacher in Woodhaven, Brownstown School District. Woo-hoo. Fire up to all my staff who are here today. I'm so glad to see you. I wanted to start by saying and seeing who's here today. So if you have a minute, if you can post in the chat who is here and your name, city, etc. Can I see the chat while I do this? All right. Yes. Okay. So it looks like
And you may also have to admit people as they come in now, because I think I handed over hosting to you so that you could share your screen.
Okay. How do I? Got it.
Okay. Sorry, I wish I could do both.
Okay. I will just remind me every once in a while and I will kick some more people in. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to find out who is here today. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, kind of my why. This is a picture, today's session is about different games you can play. And this was actually a game that I played on for this summer, or this actually spring, sorry. And this was a picture that we had. And so this is my family, my husband, Patrick, my son, Grayson, and my daughter, Sophie, who learned online as well. I'm an Eastern Eagle, my undergrad. I went to Madonna, and now I teach at Woodhaven Brownstown, and I am a warrior. Just as I'm kind of getting some more people in today, I got this idea from AJ Giuliani. I saw him a little while, just a couple days ago for my Galileo conference. So in the chat, on a scale of Baby Yoda, how are you feeling today? This is a great way to kind of check in with students or staff or anybody as you are. So I wanted to see kind of where people were at. Can we not see it? Sorry. Just trying to see if anybody else was in. Okay, sorry. Can you see my screen now? Yes? No? Anybody?
No.
Oh, we still can't see it. Okay. Back to sharing my screen. Sorry. Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not very adept in the whole, it's okay. Okay. So I like this idea, if we have to go to more online learning, how fun would it be to do like online check-ins like this and do fun things in this nature? So I thought that was cool. All right, so today I wanted to focus on, first of all, Goose Chase, then look at some breakout rooms, Gimkit, Flipgrid, QUIZIZZ, and probably won't get to QUIZIZZ and Quizlet Live, but I just wanted to share with you some of my favorite games. All right. Can we see my screen now? Can I see a thumbs up? Yes, no, maybe? All right, perfect. All right, so I wanted to also share this because I thought this was kind of funny. As we are looking into the future and kind of what online learning is going to look like, or what learning is going to look like next year, I thought about, you know, kind of the stages of where we were at, and are we familiar with things? Are we not familiar? You know, what does a Zoom meeting look like? I'm clearly struggling with it. It's just one of those things that we all, you know, and then by the end of the year, there we are. So online learning, there were so many choices, but which were the most effective and easy to use? That's why I'm kind of here today, is to share some of the things that worked for us and work in class or online, because I have a feeling we're going to be hybrid next year. So if you had a minute in the chat, what are some of your favorite games or activities to play in class? They don't have to be techie games, but just a game that you like to play. I like scavenger hunts. That's something that I dig. I like, I like to play all sorts of games as a world language teacher. But if we have any out there, I can't see anything else in the chat. Is anyone chatting? Nope. Okay. Oops, Pictionary, awesome. Roving conversation, musical chairs, thank you. Normally in a session, I love to like get audience participation. So QUIZIZZ, scavenger hunts, awesome. Gimkit, Kahoot. That's one that I haven't played a lot lately. Running dictation, Kahoot, QUIZIZZ, awesome. So we're gonna talk about first Goose Chase. And Goose Chase is a interactive way to show what you know. I don't know, Goose Chase last year gave free unlimited or like a teacher subscription last year. I think it's $49 now. I think that's what I just looked up for next year, and I'll definitely purchase it myself because we found it to be very, very helpful. So Goose Chase, I started to ask myself this question, what if? I'm in this like leadership Galileo Leadership Academy right now, and we're talking a lot about like what if. So I was like, how might we assess our students in a way that's fun so that they can, learn and be engaged, and we can kind of see what they know, because there's a lot of we're not able to see what they know. And so my question, we answered this: how might we assess our students so we know that they learned while having fun? And so instead of our final exam for my Spanish 2 this year, we actually created a Goose Chase. I did a bunch of like practice ones when we first went remote, and I did like fun things like in Spanish, like tell me the chores you're doing at your house, or tell me, what's in your fridge, or just silly stuff, and they were able to do it. And so I knew that this activity was going to work. So for our Spanish 2 final this year, was definitely way outside the box. We did a Goose Chase competition. So if you have never done Goose Chase before, it's a app, and you can do it right from your phone. You can do it from a device. You can't do it from any device though. You cannot do it on a Chromebook. So that was the one thing, but I teach 9th grade, so all of my students had one. If we didn't, we were going to modify it by allowing students to, we were gonna allow students to do like a Google Sheet. And so we just set up this how-to page here, and we let them roll. And so it was actually really, really awesome. So some of our example answers here. So like the first question up here was like, what's an emoji that you've been feeling over the last couple of weeks? And so we had them, they either drew an emoji or they found an emoji. You could find out really quickly how kids were feeling in this time. The one on the right there, you can see is losing her mind just a little bit. So that's interesting. One was your favorite quarantine snack. And so they just took a quick picture. We did a lot of things in the target language where we would ask, like, find a bunch of things that are blue, or find, school supplies, because we went over that in a unit, or, take a picture. My favorite was take a picture of the clean kitchen that you cleaned yourself, and kids were allowed to do that. And then at the bottom, like, what are you doing to stay calm? And so they had to describe these in Spanish in my class, but what are you doing to keep yourself together during this time? So these are actual responses from our final that we did. So why Goose Chase? It's a way to have students show what they know. They can show by video, they can show by text, they can show by just taking a picture of things. It's a great way to get to know your students as well, and kind of get a feel of where they're at, and see what they're feeling in the world, and kind of where they're, social, emotional, where they're at. And you can find creative ways to assess them. And the lessons can be differentiated by number or activities. And I'm going to show you some examples. So the mission types, you can have a photo mission, photo/video mission when you're setting it up. You can have a text mission, and I've never done the third one, but I took a picture of it, a GPS. Not so useful right at this moment, but you could tell that it would be a good thing to know. Some things to keep in mind as you're doing it. The videos are very short. I think they're 15 or 30 seconds. We had kids, we wanted them to do like, reflect on your 8th grade year. That was way too much to do in the time slot, and I still haven't figured out if I can make that bigger or not yet. But just so you know, some of them get cut off. Text answers can get set up to have a specific answer, so it'll self-grade, or you can grade them yourself. And I'll show you some examples here in a minute. So here are some, we had the kids, one of our final units was talking about travel. So we talked about going on your favorite trip. And so this student that I have on this example here was drawing where she would go on this dream vacation. And so some kids made like a PowerPoint or slides presentation and did this, but she drew it. And so I liked that example. There can be a video of doing an action, and I have a video here in a second to show you. They could say a sentence or phrase. I wouldn't have them say too much because, again, like I said, it's very short. So you want these missions to be kind of clean and concise. Or you could do text. It could be numbers. It could be translations. It could be an activity. I had the students look at La Llorona, and I had them figuring out what that was, because it's in, a lot of them are asking about it, like, what's the song in Coco? So like they looked it up, and boy, were they shocked when they figured out what that story was about. And this one we did like school rules, and so I had like looked at them like, we should pay attention, we should be on time. So the sky can be the limit of where you want this to go. But as you can see, it's really open-ended. We took our midterm review packet and we turned it all into different missions. If I can, let's see. Can you still see my screen? Yes, okay. This is some of the submissions. I asked for Jenna's permission so I could show it, but here is, can we see it? Her video. I asked, what do you do? What sports do you play? And she says she dances. And so, woohoo. So there were lots and lots of different videos. I just asked for that one. So why Goose Chase? Because you can get them up and moving. I've been doing a lot of different webinars and sessions about online learning, and what we need to know is that online learning doesn't have to all be online. They can get up, they can get moving, they can do things. So in this activity, in a scavenger hunt, it's perfect for learners. And you're not just sitting down. So even if you're doing it at school, you can get up. If you can't get out of your classroom, you could have them doing it around the room, or you could do it in a cafeteria or in a bigger space that you have. It doesn't have to be around the world. It doesn't have to be around the school. They could do these very, very quick and concise. So if we are in a classroom, you know, you could have them working on one device per kid, or one device per team, and doing lots and lots of different activities. So the game logistics to set up, you can either do teams or individual players. If you're playing in school, teams are obviously your best route. If we're playing, you know, remote or online, individual players is the way to go. With the upgraded subscription, I think I could have 40 per game, and you could have unlimited games. So most of us, I don't think, have classes over 40. So I ended up doing multiple classes under one just because I didn't have a huge amount. So I was able to kind of grade them a little bit more easily. Also, so here, if we're making a mission, this was one of our example questions, like 8th grade. If you could tell the current 8th graders right now some Spanish class advice, what would it be in English? And so you can see over to the side that there's photo and video submissions. The thing I would want to tell you if I were creating this is that you would want, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but where it says hidden in feed, and I put this little arrow, it is super important that you, if you're doing this as like an assessment, that you hide the answers from each other, because otherwise the answers go straight into the submission feed and they can see everything. And so I realized that all the answers that of like if I gave a specific like math problem in Spanish, for example, everyone was able to see the answers to that previously. And so they could just literally go in and just copy all of those down. So it was kind of a pain to click this, but after the fact, but once you make these missions as well, they stay. And so I really liked the fact that you could keep the missions right in here. So here's an example of some submissions that we had. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to invite people at the same time. Like introduce us in the target language to your pet. What was your favorite quarantine snack? Show us your best example of social distancing. which my favorite, there was one kid that had a hockey stick and he had like it in between him and his sister and like silly pictures. We went over sports, and so we talked about sports fun. The nice thing too is that you can add bonuses if you see down in the bottom corner here. So kids can know that you're paying attention and watching. Like I would just give random 50-point bonuses if I liked their answer or if they had things going on. So it's kind of neat to be able to interact with them and kind of see where they're at. Oh yay, Lisa says she's used this, perfect. Yep, so it doesn't, Jen, it doesn't work on Chromebooks. I'm just looking back to see if there's any questions. Yep, it does. It doesn't work on Chrome. Thank you for answering my questions. All right, so our takeaways for Goose Chase, it's by far, for online learning, it was the best thing that we did. I was able to see and interact with my students. I was able to come up with a variety of different question types. And I knew that they were actually doing the learning because I saw them doing it. I saw their picture, I saw them interacting. And like I said, it was amazing. In class, it needs to be monitored. We would try these in school sometimes and you would have to keep them on the floor, or you could keep them, like you could even do it in a hallway if you needed to, but like thinking strategically of where your students are at. I know we're in a different mindset. I kind of set this to what might it look like next year, but when you're thinking about that, or you could have the students do these at home. I don't know about you, but I realized that learning doesn't have to all happen in that 55-minute period in class. Like what if you sent them over the weekend or they had a week to complete one of these? Like it could, you know, really replace those paper pencil activities and let them be more engaged. It has the integration of video, photos, and typed responses, and you can, and the sky's the limit for the different types of questions and activities. And again, like I said, this is only an app, which we found out, and that was kind of a deal breaker between the Spanish 1s and Spanish 2s doing this in my department. And so we decided not to do it for Spanish 1 because not all kids had a device. Other ways to be able to take care of this would be, we did like a Google form as well. You could also have them do it that way. And that's also how we collaborated. I forgot to bring that up, but if you're gonna make one of these and you're making it with a team, we literally just made a Google form and we put video questions, text questions, picture questions, and we typed them all in there. And then we just had one of us go in and create it, and then you could share it with everybody. I can share that template with people if you're interested in seeing it, but it was an easy way to, you know, make this online together and not make it a big deal. You know, we just kind of added to it every once in a while, and then boom, there it was. So that is Goose Chase. Do you see? Yes, I will share that. I'll definitely share that template with you, Michelle. No problem. So if you think about it, just you can either think about it, or if you'd like to throw it in the chat, what are some ways you could use Goose Chase in your classroom/work environment? Like I said, we found it to be, we just literally took our review for the end of the year and we took our exam and we just got creative. We're just starting to think outside the box. And so if you're thinking, you know, how do I make this happen and how can I really see it? Because I know a lot of us are worried about cheating and worried about like, are the kids actually completing things? This was a lot easier to maintain and to focus, so. Nice. So. Yep. Yes, I believe, Cindy, it does cost $49 a year. We'll see. I know that you can get a school and you can get a like district subscription to these things, but I think it is $49. But you could share it. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I'm sure that you could. We have before in the past. My colleague and I had one account for, you know, for our department, and we made it work. So you can figure it out. Last year they were giving away, you know, free subscriptions and stuff like that. If I see that, I will make sure I post that as well. So the next thing that I really, any other questions on that? Wanted to go out was breakout rooms. So another way to engage your students in a different way, this one is kind of, you know, really digging deeper into knowledge, is to create and make a breakout room. So why breakout rooms? I like because they have a sense of urgency. There's a time limit on them, and that you have to get done in a certain amount of time, that there's a mystery or something to be solved with them, and that it's a team challenge. And I liked this quote. I grabbed it from a friend online this morning, but the number one skill in life is not giving up. And this kind of, I think that breakout rooms teach us grit, and they teach us like teamwork and how to stay with one another, and kind of focus and work, work together. They also have these online as well, so you could give these to your students individually and they could work on them. They've been doing a whole series while we've been out of school. So there's some easy ways to play. You can create, and I will share this as well. There is a Google form that you can use. So you can make this in a Google form, which I have done. I've done like easy reviews. Like my first one, I remember we were going over the differences between Sarah and a star, and I had a big old packet worth of stuff. So I took that packet, I chopped it up, and I made it into a bunch of different, I made a silly story behind it and made it into a team challenge. And boom, there it was. All I had to do is fill out the Google form. There's also Breakout EDU. I got a grant through my district to be able to have the actual boxes, but you could also get the online platform. And I've actually bought the online platform after that because I really, really like it and like the way that it is used. So the keys to success, if we're going to talk about breakout rooms, is I was just read John Meehan's book this week, and this comes from his book, is feelings come first. So when you're creating a breakout experience, like how do you want your students to feel while they're doing it? Are they going to feel excited? Are they feeling anxious because they're, it's a zombie apocalypse and it's going to come get them? Are they going to feel proud because they're finished with this? They're going to feel inspired because they learned something and they got it done. So that's the biggest thing. And that's the thing with, if I was going to tell you the breakout EDU ones, especially the language ones that I've used, don't have a amazing storyline behind them. And so I think that if you're going to think about it, you really got to think about you got to sell the story and you got to sell the feeling behind it. Because if they're not feeling that excitement behind it, then it doesn't work as well. For the theme, go big or go home. You gotta get behind it. You gotta I found that the more you get into the actual story of these, the better it is. And then, keys and chambers. What do you need? What needs to be solved? How do you crack the case? Now, I don't know about you, but this is a fun pastime that a lot of adults like to do. So we've even made these for, we have our PBIS team has made these for kids to do for a reward. So they'll spend their fun hour actually doing escape rooms, and the kids really enjoy it and like working together. And so if they like doing it for fun, then why not for, ooh, and there's my calendar. That's not good. Okay. All right. So an example, I was just thinking of a new example just now, and John Meehan's book, he talks about a bullfight, and he talks about thinking having the music playing, having food to eat, thinking about you're trying to get out of there. I was just thinking of a new one just a minute ago. So I thought you are investigating a theft at El Palacio de Bellas Artes, and teaching the students, where is this? Oh, it's in Mexico City. What was stolen? What kind of art is there? What can you do there? What kind of cultural significance does this have? Yep. So you could do this, like I said, you can do it in a Google form. It's a quick search online to find yourself one. The Google Forms can be set up so you have to insert certain things. And in John Meehan's book, it was really interesting as well. He talks about how you can actually do choose your own adventure, where if you pick something, you go all the way back to the beginning, or you're it'll kick you to different places, and that can all be done in Google Forms, which is pretty crazy. So when you're thinking about escape rooms, I wanted to say think outside the box. You can have all sorts of different types of locks and things that you can do, especially in a Google form. You could do alphabetical, you could do directional, you can do 3 or 4 numbers, it depends. It could be a key of some sort. It could be lots of different, it can be directional. You can put put little emojis next to each thing, and then they have to just put up, down, right, left. I mean, you can be creative with it. And yeah, without the box and locks. To be honest, I'm going to share with you in a minute, the box can be a pain because you have to, if you have, like me, I have 5 classes, you're constantly resetting them and making sure all the clues get back in the right places. And it can be a little crazy. So if you are going to create your own game, find a topic that you already have content made for. You don't have to recreate things. If you do a unit on, like I said, art, El Placio de Bellas Artes would be a great way to start. Find a fun topic that they can focus on, or it could just be your end of the chapter review. I've done this. I've made my end of my unit review just around a game, and they can play it. Create tasks using digital or paper items. And so they could do something on paper. Like I've had them do an entire worksheet before, and then I just circle certain letters, and they just have to put those letters into the Google form. So it doesn't have to be like something magic, or, you know, you don't have to recreate the wheel with this. And then practice makes perfect. Once you've done one, it's a lot smoother sailing. And I know some of the staff members that have done them with me, or that I convinced because it was a good choice to do it for our PBIS team. Once they did one, they were like, oh, I get this. Like I can see that, like, versus after you've done one. And sometimes they go fast and sometimes they go slow. And so you'll learn too with your group of kids kind of where they're at. But I think like 5 to 7 different tasks or rooms or strategies work in like a 55-minute period. One of the ones that I made in my class, this is one I made with the Breakout EDU, just their digital content. This was, instead of going over my class like syllabus and expectations, I made a breakout room that just used my syllabus, and the kids had to go in like, what do the 3 R's mean? Or what does this mean? And so I took my syllabus, and instead of me getting up there yapping, I let them dig deep into it, and I made it into a breakout type scenario. And they got to do something. They got to be, team building on the first day. They got to just really work through it and have fun. They loved it. And they were like, ooh, I want to come back to Spanish class tomorrow because I don't know what we're going to do. And so everybody ended up breaking out. Everybody got a little prize, and it was simple, basic, and I just used, again, my syllabus. That was the only thing, and the things in my room. Like I might have put something by like where the turn-in table is or the calendar is or whatever, just to kind of get the kids going on what we were doing. Breakout EDU, if you do get their content, they have all of these. They have languages, I believe, I know that they're Spanish, French, German. I'm not sure about others, but sometimes you have to tweak them a little bit because the storyline in them is unique. But if you need one on the fly, or a lot of these are great for like extension activities too. If you have kids that are higher, like there's one, for example, I can think of that's about clothing. And so if you have certain students like working and they're working ahead, like there's a clothing one that I just like assign to them. And I'm like, okay, you're a group of 5. I want you to sit down and I want you to practice code. And if you crack by the end of the hour, I'll give you, whatever it is. And it's a great way to get them to do something above and beyond without them really thinking like they're doing work, if you will. And so that was a great opportunity for students. There's also just basic team building. There's staff team building if you do stuff for your own staff. There was more than this, but that's all I could fit in this screenshot. If you have the physical boxes, like if you make boxes versus digital, I just put a few notes here. The boxes can be a ton of work for setup. The locks can be tricky for some students. Like I would have them actually practice the locks before I did it because they don't understand how they work. Students don't, unless it's their locker, they don't really do a lot of like unlocking of locks. And so working on that, but that tangible box that they have to open is super awesome. And they really like being able to get the prize that's inside, or like it's a fun, go-getter activity. You can, and also you can work on multiple locks at once. So you could have different groups working on different locks at the same time. For the digital boxes, like I said, it's super simple, and online you can set up a Google form. It can be basic, or it can even be, it can be a lot more complex. I'm even figuring out that it can be more complex. Just be careful with your digital design and make sure you do it right. Practice and have someone else practice, like send it to a colleague and have them try it first, because the students will find the cracks in it. Another, you must have technology to play this one. You don't have to have a technology to play the other ones. To be effective, you need to be in small groups. I like groups of 3 if I'm going to do the digital boxes, because you've got 3 people working at the same time. That 4th person can't get off task. That 3rd person can add the, like, 2 people can kind of get stumped, but that 3rd person sometimes can really like add to it. So I like 3, and 3 can be around a Chromebook or a computer pretty easily versus 4. And then locks need to be done one at a time this way. So they can skip around depending on which format you use. So that is, can students set up challenges for each other? Yeah, they could set them up for each other, and you could have them like do one of these and then create their own. That's a great idea, as well as have them come up with, them do a unit and them come up with ideas. Actually, I didn't mention that, but for Goose Chase, one of my like check-in attendance questions was, what's a challenge that you would like to do? And I actually got some great challenges from kids. Like one kid was like, what if we had 10 seconds to name all of the food in our fridge in the target language? Yep, I'll add that, and they liked it because they're like, oh, that was my challenge. Like they know that they did that and that they came up with that. One of them was, I want to show off what sport I know. Great. Whatever works for you. So if you just to kind of stop for a minute and think, do you have any ideas? I mean, could you take your expectations or the end of a unit and create, and it doesn't have to be this giant production, but if you think about it, a 50-minute class or a way for kids to, break into the learning and kind of really dig deeper. If you had any thoughts on it, just to think about it for a sec before you moved on. Anybody else? No. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? How are we doing? 2:30. Okay. All right. So the next one is Gimkit. Do I have anybody out there that has played Gimkit out there that uses it with their students? I like Gimkit right now because it is fun, fast, and always changing. I love this story, and I couldn't believe it when I first read it. This is the creator of Gimkit. His name is Josh. And Josh is from California, and he wanted to create a game to inspire students. And so I think he just graduated last year, but he is in a team of 3 because I just asked them how much Gimkit was and asked them some questions. But they are super awesome and always thinking about things and thinking about how to change things and make things better. And so I love to tell my students that, a high school student created this. And so it's something that they can aspire to and go, no way, I can't believe that. And I love it too because they're always changing. They have different themes and modes. My favorite was Thanos. I'm a big Avengers fan, and I thought that was super cool. So Gimkit can be played individual, or you can play as a team in class. You can also play online. I've gotten on a Zoom just like this, and I was going to try it. We can see if we want to or not. But you can get on a Zoom and play separately and have the kids play. I also like to send these out. I'll send out a remind message and a message on my Google Classroom. I'm just going to say, we're going to play a pop-up Gimkit. If you want to join us, and I'll send the code. And it's a lot of fun because kids will just jump on and they never know when they're coming. And it's kind of this like, daily competition. I did that a lot versus remote learning. You can also play, do a homework assignment, and you can set the number wherever you'd like. I found for like review, I set it really high. I had a student who loved to play, and he's like, can you set it the highest number you possibly can? Because I just want to keep playing and playing. So for Gimkit, if you're going to make a kit, you name it, you can choose your subject. You can now, for a couple minutes there, you couldn't grab it from Quizlet, but they figured out how to make that happen. So you can take right from Quizlet, if you use Quizlet or any other flashcard website that is, and take that and export it and make it into questions. You can add photos to your questions. The photos can get a little strange when you start playing though on different devices, so be careful with that. You can also do this kit collab, which is a lot of fun too if you're getting to know kids. Like kids could play like 2 truths and a lie, or they could put a fact about themselves, and they can make their own questions, which I think is kind of interesting. And so, sorry, I'm letting some more people in. So I did a lot of these online. I did a lot of classic ones, and then if I was doing them remote, I would do them. You can set the time for whatever you like. I love these for your, you have that one class that always goes super fast, right? And they always make it through your lesson, or you have one 60-minute class and all the rest of them are 55 or whatever it might be. I love to set these up for like the last 5 minutes of class, and the kids will just go crazy over it. Like I no longer have issues with like behavior and stuff at the end of the hour because they're like, oh, we're gonna play Gimkit, boom. Now you can't play all the time, but you can kind of get them going, which I think is great. Some things to note, you can have kids join in late down here at the bottom. So you can play as a class or not. I've set up a class, I told you I like superheroes. So I set up a fun class that students could do to, that were just superhero names. And so if I just wanted it to be anonymous and like let them just have fun, I would click my superhero class, which I think was, and it was fun. They could be, Iron Man or Ant-Man or, whoever. So you can make up classes too. It doesn't have to be the clapping at the end. I almost broke some Chromebooks in my classroom. So watch that, although they love to do it. The power-ups and then the clean power-ups only, depending on your class. You can freeze people and do all sorts. They change those all the time. Like at Thanksgiving, you can throw a pie in someone's face. Like they change quite frequently, but watch your class. Like I have one student that like would get very, very upset because all they would do is spend the time icing that student, and you have to talk about like making good choices and stuff like that. So sometimes I do clean power-ups only. It just depends on your class. What to know. So this is where I just contacted Gimkit and they got back to me right away. You can right now make 5 sets for free, and you can make 1 edit to those and if you delete a kit, that kit counts. But from what I heard from Jeff from Gimkit is that from next year, they're going to allow you to have like a free 30-day like trial to kind of try it out. And then of like no restrictions, and then let you go with it. But he said that they're working on the logistics of that, if you will. We have a group subscription in our school. I forget how much it is. You can, let's see, we click on it. I forget how much it is. Oh, there we go. So you can do some different, there's a month or a year pass too, but we did it per teacher, and it was I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks, however many teachers you add, it adds in. So it just depends on where you're at with your budget and things. But if we're going remote, it's something that maybe you advocate for. I was going to play, but I don't think we have time to play. So we're just going to keep moving. So I've also been sitting in a lot of meetings with a lot of higher ups. Can we, about all these flashy tools, right? And they were just like, why do we need all these flashy tools? And all these teachers are trying all these different things. And I wanted to kind of speak to that for a second, but I believe it's true as well. It's not the tool that you use, but how you use it. What questions are you asking? How are you making it meaningful? Thinking about why are you using that game? Like for a language teacher, Gimkit is a great way to practice vocabulary. It's fast paced, it's getting them moving, it's getting them going, it's getting them thinking about, those words and getting that getting those reps in, if you will. A scavenger hunt, I'm able to see what they're doing. If I'm thinking very strategically about those questions, I can really dig deep and see, like, did they get the concepts? Did they get those can-dos that I'm thinking about? It's not all about the flashiness of them. And yes, some of them cost money, but think about like, how are you using this and why are you using them? So I just thought I would throw that 2 cents in there because a lot of people are, very overwhelmed by all of the things. It's about 60. Okay, thank you. All right. Just to wrap up a few more things, I know a lot of us use Flipgrid. You can use Flipgrid for games too. And so I use Flipgrid for a variety of reasons as a language teacher. And I love that it kind of like creates a digital portfolio for kids. But just some ideas for Flipgrid that I've used in class and online. You can get to know you videos. I like to make a time capsule video. I've talked about this in a few of my sessions where students at the beginning of the year in the target language talk about themselves and all that they can say and make a video on Flipgrid. And then we go, like, we make them in September and then we watch them in June. And so that's a great way for them to kind of like, you know, show their growth in language. And they, you know, we did these too right when we got to remote learning. I had the kids create a video about themselves and their families. Do you know how many family members learned how to speak Spanish? And I learned about their pets and their everything, because that's all they had. Like, those were the most, like, they were so fun. They're like, are we doing this again? Can we, I want to teach my family more things. And so you could do, and I was just thinking of like ways, if we have to go remote, like what are ways that we can do games with each other? You could play two truths and a lie, and they could like respond underneath, like, what do they think it is? Which one do you think it is and why? And you could moderate those. I've played a Guess Who game where the kids have like a bunch of pictures up, and then they, in the target language, say like, who is it? If you're teaching, you know, history or something, you could guess, you know, which political figure that might be. Or you could do this as a meet the staff or meet the teacher type of a thing. You could give a tour of your classroom before your students even get there. There's lots of, or a tour of your school. Some schools make this for like, as for new students coming in, they'll give them like a digital tour of, you know, the office and this and that, and just kind of make students feel more comfortable. And you can always do that, like continuation of a story. Like you could start a story and then keep it going, keep it going, keep it going type of a thing. I tried this, trying to get kids to do it without explicit directions was really hard. But I think if we were able to talk to them in person and online, it might be a little bit easier. So I think that any of these could be used one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. If you're in person or online, these are great games and activities that you can do and play. I love Flipgrid because Flipgrid's free, and Flipgrid can be moderated. A lot of people worry about the you know, privacy. 90% of the things that I do are protected, and like I moderate them and watch them myself. And so, and then I ask for students' permission to be able to show them or to do them or just show them in class. So I like that. So again, I'm ahead of myself. Flipgrid it's free and it's easy to use. If my 5-year-old could do it in kindergarten, your students definitely can do it too. I had and another like fun thing is I had like my daughter's kindergarten class make gift of words for their teacher, and like they didn't use Flipgrid in their class, but I sent it out to all the parents, and the parents all had their kids make a video for the teacher. And so there's a zillion different ways you can use it, but if you don't, that would be something that I would be focusing on. And lastly, because I wanted to keep to about 50 minutes, is QUIZIZZ. If you don't use this one again is free as well, and you can take multiple true false quiz questions and make it a game. These work well live or as homework, depending on how you want it to do. I love the new integration with Google Classroom. If you're a Google school, you can now assign it as an assignment, and you can actually see the number of attempts. So I'll say you got to get an 85 on this to get full credit. And so you can see if they tried it 1, 2, 3, 17 times to get there. They're now adding more integration with pictures and video and things as well to add to that. Younger age kids really love this too. I set these up for my kindergartner and sent them out to her friends, and they were all playing against each other. So it doesn't matter. This one, my daughter would be like, oh, we're playing QUIZIZZ, I want to play. And she would play even my Spanish games with my students. And I like to call this the quiet Kahoot if you're playing it in class, because they're all working by themselves and they're all working independently, and they get a meme if they get it right or they get it wrong. And so they're getting that instant feedback, which is super important for learning right now, of like, are they getting it right or wrong? And now they even do redemption questions, so students are able to see like, did they get it right? And they can actually go back and try it again. And I love that about QUIZIZZ. So that one is super easy, and it's super easy to create gosh, my dog is trying to get in, sorry, to create questions, and you can pull from a lot of different quizzes really fast. So you can make these like very, very quickly if you need to. So that's a nice on the fly activity if you are adding things in. So I leave you with my advice to you is to kind of find your voice when it comes to technology and it comes to games. Which one do you want to focus on and why, and start there. And I would get really good at one of them and then kind of work towards whichever one works best for you. I've over the years gotten better at certain one. I started out with Flipgrid a long time ago, and then I, just add one in a year. Train your students how to use that tool. If we're looking for the future, if we're meeting in person, get them in, get them logged in, tell them out loud what you want from them, because then they'll be much more productive for you online. And the more work you put in now, the easier and more fun your school year will be. So I like to set aside, I might be school dorky, but I set aside like 1 day a week, and I just kind of focus on a certain activity or put some things together. And then if I do that now, it's way easier in the fall to kind of pick and choose where we're at. So I leave you with, what questions might you have? If you have any, to the chat. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate everybody joining in. I even use Bitmoji. My staff was teaching me my PLC. I'm a Bitmoji person, but I'm learning. You're welcome, Lisa. Thank you, Jen. Thank you guys for coming. But I will, wherever we're putting this, Jen, I don't know, but I'll put the a link of resources and that doc. I can make a copy of that for making goose chases, so you can do that as well. So I'm so glad that everyone could make it. And thank you so much. If you have specific questions, my email, it is wrong. Let's see if I can fix it. At wbsdweb.com. There it is. Okay. I'm on Twitter as well. If you're on Twitter, please put it in the chat. I'd love to see you. But that's about it. So that's my email if you need me. And yay. So thanks again.